Hello, all, and welcome to the Fantasy and Sci-Fi Fanatics podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Coolbaugh. Today, I have me a very special returning guest, Jason J. Willis. How are you doing today, Jason?
I'm doing good. Hi, everybody.
Well, Jason and I had our interview. I should have looked, Jason. I know it was like about a year ago, something like that, but it was on our previous season. So you guys should definitely check out that first interview. We had a really good time. We chatted about Jason and his, experiences and things like that, and his really like how he came to be writing like this series. So make sure you guys, go and check that out. We will be, talking about some of those crossover topics again today, but definitely check out that interview as well. Jason, thank you so much for coming back today, and I cannot wait to get started, my friend.
Awesome. It's always fun to talk with you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So, what have you been up to since our last interview over a year ago?
Okay, so
I know.
it's been a lot. You mentioned about a year. Unfortunately, it's been about a year and a half, and that's a lot
Yeah, yeah.
longer between the books than I was wanting to. And that's I don't want to open on a too much of a downer for the interview, but it I'm very very proud to have finished the book at all. I had 6 months of incredibly intense infections, nearly lost my leg and nearly died, had two surgeries. It took a lot. I was hoping to bounce back and get the book out on time anyway, but it's a little bit later than I would have liked. But I at least only had to deal with the American version instead of like Shirley and Travis had the Australian version, which so
Oh wow.
I can't complain with the American version.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's crazy. Well, we're all glad that you're, happy and healthy now. And yeah, I can't imagine because just from having like a cracked bone in my back, I could like I can't imagine because it's still taking me a long time to reprocess and learn how to sleep again and all sorts of things. And that was like a really short time and to me a very small injury. So I can't imagine. So I think we can all totally understand that you just need longer to mentally recover, right? And just to your body to like I know my brain sometimes when I'm physically recovering just can't process like characterization or connections and things like that. So I definitely understand need to take longer there. But well, we're glad to see obviously like I said we're glad to see you healthy, and glad to see that the sequel here is ready to go and is out now. So do you mind telling us what the sequel Dropout is about, and how did you and Dawang come up with this idea for book two?
Okay,
Book one
so
sounded really cool. I started it,
yeah.
so
So book one, just as a kind of a quick recap for those that don't already know,
oh yeah,
uh,
thank you.
book one is you take a well, I'll start with how book one came about, just very, very briefly, and then book two.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Book
yeah.
one started with an anthology where Tao Wang had asked for a character as different from his as you could possibly. He had done several anthologies. He'd done some worked with some spin-offs, and I think he was sick of seeing the same kind of thing over and over again, and he wanted to expand the world and see something different. And so that's what he asked for. And I was working on an insurance agent related one where, well, that's in the other interview. But then I saw an amazing speech by Mr. Rogers in front of Congress, and I thought we need
All right.
more of this and less of everything else. Threw it out, and I was like, I want a character that's kind of like Mr. Rogers, and and then I got this image of coming to kill his student, monsters coming to kill his students, and then I thought, what if the monsters were people? What if they were human, and the students that he was protecting were aliens from another world that he was looking after and teaching, and it grew from there. It's basically the idea of a fish out of water story of uh, a good man who's a teacher, a grade school teacher, who loves children and wants to do the right thing in the kind of horrific hellscape that you usually see in system apocalypse type series where you're rewarded for and get more powerful and more able to influence things by killing. And and how does he try to hold on to his values and still keep himself alive and try to protect his kids in that. And then book two, Dropout, answers the question, what would happen if you make him strong? And so he builds up to a lot more power, a lot more ability to do things, but still having to face the same challenges, the same questions, and and the sorry the whole idea there is it's a kind of a slow burn to powerful instead of
Mm.
just book one he gets really powerful and gets OP and does other things. Um, and he's on in book two. He's escaped. This is spoiler. So if you haven't done book one, go do book one and then come back. Uh,
Yeah. Pause here, watch
Pause
the
here.
first interview, read
Yeah.
the book, or listen to it, review it, and then come back right here. Thanks, guys.
Yes. Um, if you like it, if you don't like it, just send the message to me and let me know, and I'll be happy to. I can happy to get that message directly. um, but book one, they've managed to survive, which I imagine you know because there's a sequel. They get off the planet, and he's now stuck on a spaceship, hurtling into space with unlikely enemies turned allies, and trying to make peace with each other and keep everybody alive while still uh, eventually being able to try to get back home and get everybody safe and get everybody back where they need to go, get the kids, get the alien kids back where they need to go, get the humans back to Earth. And of course, it doesn't go smoothly. And there's book two is a lot more standard lit RPG than book one.
Mm.
Uh, because now he does have more powers. He is not just a teacher. He's he's got the ability to fight back and defend them with other ways. And there's a lot of other badass, cool, fun characters. It's the whole series isn't just Caleb's story. Um, there's a lot of it's a very diverse cast, very uh, uh, distinct characters, and in viewpoint for multiple characters. Although Caleb is the main character. Um, there's other characters as well, and that's one of the things that people that love epic fantasy or people who love multi-viewpoint stories really like it and seem to really enjoy that. And some people just don't really like multi-viewpoint stories, and
Mm.
uh, hopefully they'll like it even not. And some people like it regardless. I get a lot of the weirdest thing that I've gotten from the experience from this is there's two main uh, protagonist characters, although Caleb is the main character. There's Caleb, and then there's Lee. Caleb is the teacher who is overly soft and really good and just trying to do the right thing, and he's maybe too far in that direction, especially at the start. And then there's Lee, who is so anti-hero that he's basically nearly a villain when it starts, and they're both trying to operate in the same world and survive and work together to keep everybody else alive. And the the funny phenomenon is I have had people come up to me and say, "I really love your book." And I really love Caleb, but I can't stand Lee. I get through the
You did
chapters.
it.
Yeah, I get through the chapters. I enjoy them. They're really well written. Um, but I can't stand Lee. He's better maybe towards the end of the book, but I just can't stand him. And I have other people come to me and say, I love your book. I really enjoyed it, but I hate Caleb. I just hate him. Can't stand him. Maybe he's better towards the end of the book. I'm liking him more, but I just don't like Lee. Oh, Caleb, I'm sorry. I hate to tell you that, but I just, I like the book, but I just don't like Caleb. So it's funny that I get it from both sides.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's really funny. Well, I know we talked a lot, in the first interview, about like their characterization, their differences, but also, like some of their similarities. So, but I've read a few books recently where I could totally see that polarization, right?
Yeah.
But I do think interesting based off of some of the feedback I've seen for you guys from different lit RPG groups or stuff like that where people have shared head of the class and talked about the characters, those two characters quite a bit, what they did and didn't like. So I don't know. I think as long as you got them with one, right,
Yeah.
like 50-50 shot. So
Well,
and they're gonna keep reading. So
it's actually why I introduced. So I had Caleb, and I knew for the story it was fantastic. I knew he was going to be a hard sell for lit RPG fans, uh, for at least a very large section of especially the old school lit RPG fans. I knew he was going to be a hard sell, and more
yeah,
importantly, I knew he wasn't ready. So it was going to be a good while before he got into action and kicked ass and did anything that was in that regard. So I wanted to introduce Lee to show, hey, I'm able to write action. I'm able to write that exciting stuff. I like that stuff too. We can do badass characters. Just bear with me and we'll get there.
well, but I think it is good though, because I'm gonna bring up like Will White's Cradle,
Yeah,
with the two main characters, and you have one who's pretty OP from the start, and then you have the other one who's not,
yeah,
and then but it's like you can see right like where the progression's gonna be
right.
for the level progression fantasy, right, and RPG is pretty similar, right? So I do think that. It is nice to get to, and then he's got like this other third one up here for God tier, and I do think it's
Mm,
interesting. That's kind of like for me how Mortal Kombat 2 was with Carl Urban as Johnny Cage is like he was like down here like Caleb, and then he had like Sonya and everybody
yeah,
else way up here, and like Liu Kang, and it
yep,
was cool, right, to like see like oh this is eventually where he's gonna be, or where they could be, particularly if they do another installment. So I don't know. I think it's always interesting to be able to see that maybe it's the Karate Kid lover in me. I don't
yeah,
know, right? Getting to see like what that progression is going to be, because I know it always makes it interesting, right? Because they're going to get to certain levels, but you want to be able to see how they get there, right? And I think that's where oh, like 1,000 Lee, is really amazing with that.
yeah.
I
Oh,
think
so good.
Tao does, yeah, just does a great job, and I think I'm on like book 4 right now.
Yeah,
I'm on like the second expedition actually. And like, but I know there's going to be certain levels, but it's just so fun
yeah.
getting there. So I think that's what I've seen from, your guys' feedback and stuff.
I'm
So
gonna
I
I'm
think
gonna
that's super
fanboy
cool.
about Thousand Leaf for a second. That's such a masterpiece. I can't say. I, Here's the best compliment that I can give to that because it's not just the story; it's also the writing. The writing is
Oh yeah.
so brilliant. Um, the uh, the writing itself is so good that I had to stop listening to it because it was changing my voice,
Oh yeah,
and you
yeah,
can't
yeah.
do that
Yep.
mid-book. Uh,
Yep.
I had
That's fair.
the only other time that happened where I had to stop listening to something, or in this case, finish listening to something and go back and reread it, rewrite it, was I had a scene with a badass character. Lee was going to be doing a badass thing, and all of a sudden he was funny and witty and charming in a way that just wasn't acceptable because I was reading He Who Fights with Monsters, and Jason Asano
Oh yeah.
leaped into him.
That's awesome. I just asked like Steve. I was like, I was like, are you guys doing a paperback version of this new cover? Like, because the new hardcover looks amazing, but I don't have like the space. So I was like, I hope to God they, and I love the way they did a new cover. So
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely have to get that. But I do think it is interesting, when you are talking about voice. I know we discussed this last time, right, on how you were, trying to, really tailor Caleb's voice to Caleb and Lee's, to
Yeah.
him, and where it is interesting, right? When I know we talked about this last time too, where you do start to listen to somebody, or and start to kind of go
Yeah.
that route. But I gotta say, I love Will White's Cradle for the characters,
Yeah.
but I think Dow has the better cultivation system,
Oh
in
yeah.
my humble opinion. So everybody should check it out. But yeah, I do think it is interesting. Yeah, I've found that where like I can't read, somebody like Stephen Blackmore while I'm writing urban fantasy. I have to be, I have to switch genres. Otherwise, yeah, that happens to me all the time. So I'm glad to know it's not just me. But now, in terms of challenges, I know we talked, with book one, we did talk about like Caleb and Lee, right?
Yep.
And trying to keep that voice for both of them, but also your own for book one. But what were some challenges you faced this time around with book two with Dropout?
All right, well, I want to fully answer your question first. You asked about how we
Yeah.
came up with the idea for Dropout,
Oh, sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
and that's going to lead into a little bit of a segue. But as far as how we came up with the idea,
Perfect.
uh, it was kind of like pantsing, but it was before it was written. So I kind of went
Hmm.
on a little bit of adventure in the imagination. Uh,
Oh, that's cool.
Working with Tao as a co-author is not uh, co-authors a weird thing because it can mean so many different things. Sometimes they'll do one person writes one chapter, one will write the next. Sometimes it one will outline something. This is a whole different process. With Tao, what he does, he created the universe, he's built the sandbox, and he works more like a mentor, where you come up with the characters, you come up with the plot, you outline or don't. In the case of a lot of, I think I'm the only one that outlines. Uh, which does make it so much easier with co-authoring because I don't have to then write something and have him say, no, that can't happen. I can ask in advance. Um, but the way that he works is he'll go over and he'll answer all your questions. He'll tell you what you can and can't do. He'll read it. He'll go over it. He'll redraft it, edit, and then he'll also say, uh, this needs to be cut down or this needs to be expanded. Or it's really, I think, better than any other type of co-authoring because really it's a mentorship then, and there's no better way to get an education than to have him know his name is going to be on it and he's all the help that you need to make sure it's going to be up
Yeah.
to snuff. But and he will step in if you ask him to, but he's really actually very careful not to step on your toes and to let you have the final say on anything but the system and the universe and the world with that kind of thing. There's only been a couple of times that I asked him, yeah, please do step in here because I want this to be cooler than I'm making it. There was one fight
Yeah.
scene, and in book one, there was a fight scene that I just didn't have the skill for, and I'm just like, can you see what you can do with this? And he just added just a few paragraphs, and it just made it sing. And then there's a
I love
scene,
his fight scenes,
yeah.
man.
Um, his best help for me for the fight scenes was the "you can't," not "you should," um, and that wasn't just so much the system stuff. It was no, this isn't an anime. You can't have long drawn out conversations and arguments and stuff like that. Although I did get away with it with one character by making it a class feature where he actually gains benefits by doing that, and he can even like cheat and make things happen, like rearrange his reality to some degree with his
That's
powers
awesome.
so that he can get away with it.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that kind of thing is like cut it down, that kind of thing. Or but then at the same time, it'll be like there'll be a really big emotional moment, and he's like, "No, give this more time. Expand this. This is where the heart is. You need to put more into this and stuff like that," which you don't usually hear from an action thing. But there are
Oh
times when you
yeah, yeah.
have to.
I was gonna say I can think of a few instances in like First War where like he did that,
Yeah,
and like I didn't think with how that book started, I didn't think it was going to be how it ended at specific points, like so emotional. And you would think like it's a war, right? But like I don't know, I was thinking of like other, like I was thinking like Will White, right?
yeah,
And like he's like very like, and I love Will, guys. Don't get me wrong, love Cradle. I'm about to be on Uncrowned soon, but like, in terms of the difference, like there, I do feel like First War hit me in a lot of emotional
Yeah,
spots that I was not anticipating in the writing,
yeah.
in the spots that he chose. So I could totally see, that type of tutoring there, and I think that was really good on his part. So I can't wait to get to those spots for this book.
That's what's really great about lit RPG and progression fantasy game. This whole growing genre nebulous thing that
Mm.
uh, you know isn't we're not really good at gatekeeping, and I think that's probably a good thing from Witch's
Yeah,
Witch.
yeah,
But you can get so many different things. If you
yeah.
I'm a mood reader, so I or listener.
I get that.
I don't read
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
I just listen. Like I always joke with Dropout that I hope it's good. I'll find out when Daryl Mayfield reads it to me.
That's awesome.
But the cool thing is you can you can be in a mood to have your heartstrings pulled, and there's books that do that enormously well. And you could have, and I think mine is actually in that camp. And then, like you said, with a lot of Dow's, not System Apocalypse, but his other books, although System Apocalypse to some degree, but he doesn't lean into it as much. Um,
Hmm.
and then you've got other books where what you want is that rush of progression, like Ultimate Level
Yeah,
1 is just
yeah,
a rocket ride for Sean is just brilliant at that. For the first five books, it's just a rocket ride that you can't imagine. I can't even imagine how you manage it. He doesn't know. He says how you can go five books of that level of progression and just have it be that intense. It feels like playing a video game for the first few
yeah, yeah,
levels, where it's always at that level of excitement for the whole five books. And the rest of the series is fantastic, but it's fantastic in an entirely different way.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, so it's cool that you can get so many different experiences.
Well, it's like Rob J. Hayes with like Titan Hoppers, right? And like his series, and then like for that his type of like it's like a sci-fi fantasy level
Yeah,
progression, right? And then, but I think that's also what people. I'm gonna go back to like Coder, right? And Knights of the Old Republic. I think that's what people really liked. So Rob kind of went with that
yeah,
type of level progression system, and which was super cool. And yeah, I do agree with you, and that's what I did not anticipate when I first got into the genre with like GD Penman and some other people back when I first started this podcast. I was not anticipating, like yeah, like the level of different abilities of authors, yeah, to do certain things. I thought it was going to be really, like these are the tropes, these are the rules, and then there's not gonna be much variation. But I totally agree with you. Like, and I do, I've had like Justin Whitaker and I are trying to do a live really soon. I was just like sick this week and stuff. So he's one. I got a lot of lit RPG authors coming in for season 6 that I'm really
yeah,
excited about. And then some fantasy level progression. And yeah, it's such a nice mix now of authors that, and I shouldn't say it's a mix now. It's more of that I'm finding more authors with variation that I like to read. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's really cool for the genre, like you said, where you can start to expand. And yeah, I think it's really exciting to see this subgenre develop to the point in which it is now. And it's kind of like what you just said, where it's actually progressing level wise pretty well pretty quickly, which is pretty cool.
yeah.
And cozy fantasy is another one, but I don't know, more of a RPG guy myself.
Me too.
But nothing wrong with cozy fantasy, but yeah.
We've had a lot of people doing this for a long time, and some of them at such high speeds
Yeah,
that they've had such a big career in a short amount of time that you can have the same author give you multiple different kinds of experiences. The
yeah,
best
yeah.
example of that, in my opinion, is Sean Oswald, uh,
Mm.
where
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
you can actually. I did as I followed him. I followed him since book one, and you can see as he's working on each book, he's working on a new skill, and it gets fantastic in that book. it gets so fantastic that it starts to draw attention, and then he eases it back on the next book, and then he's just great at it, and he just consistent at that from then on. Uh, and I find it kind of a masterclass in studying the things that he's studying because as you follow through, he gets better and better. He's focusing on what he's learning as he's building the career.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, that's cool.
I
Yeah,
have
Sean's
forgotten the
another
second
one. Like,
question. So, yeah, Sean's me.
oh, that's totally fine. Oh, it's right there. Yeah, I was just curious at what some of the challenges you face when it came to this book.
Okay, so back to the depressing stuff. Writing this was brutal. I had outlined it. I was excited about it. I loved the whole story, and then it was 6 months where I couldn't do almost anything. I couldn't,
Yep.
I would sit in front of the keyboard. I was still working more than full time while going through IV and pill antibiotics and all of the things that those bring on, in addition to the infections, just back and forth, getting better, getting worse. And so just, just not losing my job or not being able to do my job and then have losing my income
Yeah.
and I'm providing for three disabled people and myself. So it, there's a lot on the line. So I was kind of
Yeah.
living the kind of experiences that go into the book rather than being able to focus on the book.
Mm.
And
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
so I would sit down and I would try to write because I'm not going to not finish what I started and I want to make sure it gets done. And I was trying to get to the deadline and stuff. And so I'm just like just out, and then wake up a few hours later, try again, and just out. And then past a certain point, I was like, okay, I just need to rest. I watched I watched Travis Shertloon go through the exact same process where he's like trying and trying, and
Yeah.
he's like, okay, no, I just need to rest. And then
Yeah.
um, so I'm taking the time, I'm resting, I'm recovering. Then I'm like, okay, no, I'm better. Uh, and I can because I had the surgeries to recover, but then it took longer to recover than I wanted to, and
Yep.
so throughout that entire stretch of time, though, I'm still doing something, and as I'm doing that, I'm able to get the information on the page. I'm able to get the actions on the page. I would call it the most detailed outline you could possibly imagine because it had all the things, but it didn't have the heart
Mm.
because I couldn't get there emotionally and
Oh
I
yeah.
couldn't care the way that I would normally care, but I could get all the information down. And so I got through the whole book, and then it's like, okay, go through the book again. And then I'm re-experiencing it. I'm going through it, and some things change and some things don't. And then I'm able to get that feeling and that heart there. And then it was interesting, too, that having that feeling and that heart there changed the outcome of the book. It changed what
Mm.
happened, which makes sense. And so you'll get about I redrafted and added more to about the first like fifth of the book, and then there's a good chunk that's like the rest of the first act basically that wasn't there before as they go and do other things, and then it goes back into a modified version of what happened afterwards. So it was a lot harder to do book two than book one, but
Yeah.
that had nothing to do with the book and nothing to do with the writing, um, so much as the health issues. Um,
Yeah.
from a writing viewpoint, the hardest part was again the distinct viewpoints. I must hate myself because that's so much more work, and it's not. It doesn't have enough of the effort to reward of even doing multiple viewpoints with really in depth with great voices and distinct voices is it. There just aren't enough people that really love that in this genre. There are in epic fantasy. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
at least not yet. There's not a huge audience uh, that would prefer that. Even if they're like, all right, uh, that would prefer that. It does make it so much harder, and and I'm dealing with a character that is from a hive mind species that's been broken off from the hive mind in Viewpoint. Um, in book two, we've got, I don't want to tell that, that's a spoiler. We've got an exciting new addition that is even harder to do in Viewpoint than that. Uh,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
um,
yeah.
and we've even got the Queen, so I've got the hive mind Viewpoint. Um, there's a, if you want to see how hive mind Viewpoint's done brilliantly well, I want to give a shout out, but I can't remember the. I'm so bad with names. Um,
I feel like that would be so difficult.
yeah, it is insanely hard. Um, the and I try to stay out of those viewpoints as much as possible, specifically for for that reason, but I fail. Um, I will give you I'll send you a link because there's one of my favorite authors. She is absolutely brilliant, and she is so amazing at this, and probably one of the smartest people on the planet, as far as I'm concerned. She might be the smartest person on the planet. Uh, I want to give a shout out to her, but I can't. My name is my ability to recall names has never been good. Um,
That's fair.
yeah, but I'll send it to you so you can add it.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, it's funny because like I had a somebody was on here, and speaking of forgetting who it was, I've just had too many authors on this year and extra episodes. But like we had discussed, like what you're saying, and it was interesting because they were talking about like an alien, and they're like, "Well, I wanted Chewbacca, but like able to speak like common." So they created this entire way of speech for this alien being, sentient alien being. And then
Hmm.
by book three, they were like, "What was I thinking? Like I should have just done like common in, like telekinesis or whatever, telepathy, right?" And they're like the amount of times that they're like I screwed up, like this apostrophe or this or that, like that dash or whatever. They're like the editor was just like, "Holy crap, dude!" So
Hmm.
I can't imagine doing a hive mind. Like I'm like cringing just thinking about my inability to do that. So that is really interesting though. Now I have to give you credit, Jason, because man alive, like I have people asking me, they're like, "Where's your novella?" And I'm like, I am trying so hard. Like life has kicked me in the teeth so many times within the last year. I'm just like, the fact that I'm even close to being done and will be done this summer, I think is this. Yeah, you just get to that point, right? And I just want to stress that to the audience, like you're just gonna get to that point. Like, not to quote Les Brown too much on here, but you're either gonna get to that point and want the thing bad enough to freaking do the damn thing, or you're not. Like, you're gonna stop. Like, and most people, right, the authors that you see, like Jason, are gonna be the ones that are like, you just don't quit, right? No matter what pops in your way. So I just want to point that out because people ask me like, what's the number one, thing you learn from authors or the tip you learn from authors? And it's not writing; it's really just like keep going. And I just want to point that out because, a lot of times the challenge isn't the writing itself. So for me, it's never the writing itself. It's just like my mindset, or it's like I just have other stress on my mind and I just
Hmm.
have to go do those things. And then coming back to write sometimes I'm just too tired, or too difficult. So I do think that that is a really useful skill for people to have, is kind of hitting the F button and saying screw it and just keep pushing through. And like you said, right? Like some days I'll just do 15 minutes, I'll do 10 minutes, and I'll just try and, get something done. So I think it's really impressive. So
One of the
now in
oh,
terms,
sorry.
yeah,
One of
no,
the
sorry, right.
um, I might have lost it now. Um, one of the fun things about uh, studying fiction. Am I still audible? Okay, good.
Oh yeah, you're good.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
there was a weird sound. One of the fun things about studying fiction is one of the things that I've picked up on is pantsers are really successful in in fantasy and science fiction and adventure books and thrillers in ways that other art forms maybe not so much. You don't pick it up and don't have to study it as much. Some people. Others study it, and I think it creates almost two distinct art forms uh,
Yeah.
because they just kind of go such a different way. But one of the reasons I think that authors who are successful, that sometimes that authors are successful, um, who are pantsers, is that a lot of them just read so much, and the story of the characters and the plot of the characters and the adventures and the things that the characters have to go through and the try-fail cycles and the you go until you're obviously going to fail and you just find some way to rise above it and you just make it work anyway is the exact skill set that you need to be an author
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
to do anything that is not being forced by somebody else, whether it's by money or by something else. The skill set that you need to set your mind to do something hard and do it is the plot of novels. So you get it drilled into you over and over and over again, and it teaches you both how to plot the novels and also how to be an author.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I no, I agree. Like that's like I'm on my fifth draft and like I'm learning now like with another project, right? I was like I'm just going to outline what I can and then I'm just going to I now I know where I like outline and then discovery, right? And I was trying to get to the, towards the edited side. I was like I just know now that I just need to get this part set up and then to get to the bridge, to, get it ready for myself to self edit. And then that other spot's over here. So to learn those segments and where, right, you can, because eventually you're going to tap out, right? Whether it's motivation, energy, or ideas.
Yeah,
So I'm like really starting to slowly learn that. That's, I think, why I didn't finish my first prequel novella. Like I wrote a freaking 78,000 word, epic fantasy essentially, or fantasy, sorry, like book. And like, I was starting to go back and edit and I was like, I couldn't figure it out, right? Like where,
yeah,
I re-outlined and kind of rebuilt some things, but like now I'm learning that it wasn't actually anything was wrong with that, first draft, or it was like in my second or third, but like really it's that I need to learn. Now I'm learning where to segment things, right? And I'm learning like where to kind of get to and then what I have to do to get over and to like the next spot. So I think that actually is, I don't think enough people talk
yeah,
about that, and we talk a lot of, about it as teachers and as coaches, but I don't think we talk about it enough as writers and authors and
yeah,
like, and learning, like some people can go right, like Ben Shankman, holy hell, man. Like he basically writes like two drafts now and it like has an editor and he's done, like, but like that's how
yeah,
Ben's mind works. So when I have Ben, looking at my story, I know I'm basically getting, going to get a whole other segment or
yeah.
draft done just from his feedback, right? And like,
That's awesome.
I just don't have that. Yeah, like, I don't have that skill yet, right? He's written like 7 books, and well, now like 9, right? And it's just kind of difficult, I think, for people to fathom, right? But like, it's like if you go and look at a basketball player, right? Look up somebody that plays high school and then look up somebody who plays high school really well. Look at a college like D5 versus a D1 versus somebody who's going to go to the NBA versus somebody who's going to be
Hmm.
a Hall of Famer. Those different levels of skills, I think, really physically show you that that's writing too. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? But like, I don't think that we think of writing as much as other skills, like, being able to play basketball or being able to long distance run, right? But like, if you're going to be a long distance runner, I see that as, being very similar to being an author. You got to know where you can stop. And then you have to know how you can, kind of retrain yourself or train yourself to get to the next segment,
Hmm.
to get what you have to get done. So I always find it super interesting. I know that, in terms of, I kind of want to just ask you, like, in terms of greatest successes, like for this sequel, like what would you like kind of put down as some of your greatest successes?
Oh, I have so much trouble talking about sequels because I don't want to get into or to books that because I don't want to get into spoilers. Um, and then so for the greatest successes in this, we're getting it done at all was definitely, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
going in and then putting the heart. I always, I always like when I'll give you a greatest success. That's I'm not going to give the what it is because it's a spoiler, but the greatest success for me in this one was a moment where I my thing that excites me is I plant the seeds. I throw random cool things in for no reason. And for whatever reason, it always seems to happen that by the end of the book, they matter so much and it changes the course of everything. And there's a moment that recurs, a feature and a thing that recurs a few times here and there. And then all of a sudden, we're getting towards the end of the book, and my mind just went boom as I realized, oh wow, I can use that and make the climax so much more epic. And
It's cool.
this thing that was a minor kind of laughing point is now a major, huge point in that threatens the entire success of the major team. So I'm sorry to be
It's
vague,
cool.
but you asked me a question
No,
about.
I totally get it. No, I totally get it because like that's like I my best friend's like, why do you love like Brandon Sanderson's Warbreaker so much? He does that towards the end, and it's something that he sprinkled, and you didn't think that was a big deal. And he does this a lot, and like I love where it's like he doesn't actually totally change everything, but it's like he just gives you a small little. He goes, "Hey, you're looking right. I need you to look left," and you do
Mhm.
that towards the end, and all of a sudden it changes the entire book, and it really like puts that stamp on it. So I totally get that, which I think is super interesting. Would you say that that would be like the greatest lesson you learned from doing this book?
The greatest lesson I learned from doing this book is a little different. Real quick before I do
Hmm.
though, Abby
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Goldsmith. Abby Goldsmith is
Oh,
the one I was trying to say earlier. She wrote a series called Majority, and I
she's
have.
been on here twice. I can't wait to get her back for a third time.
There you go. Abby is so smart,
She is brilliant. Yeah,
and
she is brilliant.
have you read Majority?
I actually am like 30% of the way through it
Yeah.
right now, with the audio or with the reading. I'm trying to finish up with the
So you
audio book.
haven't gotten to what I'm talking about yet. When you
Not
get there,
yet, no.
it will blow your mind. It is the greatest work. I think probably the greatest single work on, even though this metaphorically, on social media and the schizophrenic hive mind that we live in, that
Oh
that
yeah.
I
Oh,
have
oh yeah.
ever seen. Um,
I could totally see what you were saying earlier, by the way, because she does do a really good job
yeah,
with that.
she is
Oh, that,
fantastic.
sorry, Jason. If you guys have not checked out my two interviews with Abby yet, you gotta
Yeah,
go check them out. Go check out her books. Yeah, go check out. There's Audible, like Podium does them or whatever. Like they do an amazing job. So definitely, definitely go check her out. She is brilliant.
yeah. Uh, for me, the greatest lesson that I learned, did you say, or the great? Yeah, I think that was.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just curious. Yeah,
Uh,
greatest lesson.
the greatest lesson that I learned is my secret to motivation. I don't know if it's going to work on anybody
Oh,
else, but it's my
that's
secret to
good though.
motivation.
Yeah.
And it goes like this. There is no power on earth that can force me, including me, to do something when it comes to writing that I don't want to do.
Mm.
However, I can not do whatever it is I choose not to do. So here's what I do. I'm not excited about the book at the particular moment. I've had a slump. I don't want to write. I want to write, but I don't want to write. Here's what I do. I don't have to write. Not a word. Don't have to do it at all. Here's what I can't do. I can't go on my computer. I can't go on my phone.
Ooh.
I can't read a book. I can't listen to a book. I can't listen to a
Ooh.
podcast. I can't talk to people. I have to just sit quietly in my head, and I can't think about anything but the scene, but the chapter. And I discipline myself. It's almost like meditation. I don't have to think about this, but I can't think about anything else. And my mind cannot tolerate that state, and it will come up with something really exciting that I hadn't thought of yet for that scene. And then I'm excited about writing the scene, and I go write the scene. It works for me every time. Every time
I
that
was
I am
cringing when you
disciplined
were
enough to do
saying
it.
that. Yeah, I was just cringing. I'm about to go write right now. Like you, I was cringing. I'm like, no, I'd rather just write. If that's gonna be my ticket
There you
to
go.
getting to do the other things. Yeah.
And then when I want
All
to
right.
clean,
Wow.
I
That
tell
is super
myself I have to
helpful.
write. And then
That's awesome. I have to do a lot of cleaning this week, so I'll probably do a lot of writing instead. So- well, I actually think, Jason, that that was super helpful for me
Oh,
because
good.
now I'm going to think of you saying that and cringe so severely that I'm just going to get at least some writing done.
There you go.
So I'm so glad I asked you that question. Now, when it comes to your characters, who is one places you would want to switch places with and why?
So one of my characters I'd like to switch places with. Okay, so I want to be clear that uh, I would want to be me in this world with
That's
powers.
fair.
But if I had to choose, all right,
The system is making you choose.
I'm
Who are you
having
going to
to, I'm
choose and
being
why?
forced to choose one of these characters that I have to switch places with. And do I have to switch places or do I just get their place? Because there's some of these characters I can't unleash upon our
Oh,
world.
yeah. No, 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 no. I'm sorry. No, you just get to like switch. Like they're gonna go off into the nether and in a stasis, and you just get to take over their current role
Okay, so
and powers. Sorry, and powers, abilities.
um, I would choose the most powerful character, uh, just so that I'd have the most power, so I could do the most good. And
Oh, that's a
that's
good answer.
uh, at this point, that would either be I don't want to be a hive queen. I don't think I could deal with it. Uh, so at this point, that would be there is a character that specializes in uh, taking. He's creepy mad scientist, not a beholder, but he's similar to a beholder, who deals with. He's got a passion and a drive for mixing aliens and uh, different types of uh, aliens to each other and different technologies and making experiments that do amazing, incredibly powerful things that can theoretically be incredibly helpful, but he's not a good person. So I would want to use those as a good person to help people with those exact skills. Now, that is if I am choosing based on who I would who I would choose. Who I'd want to choose would be either my scoundrel character because he gets to have a lot of fun and has powers that make his life very pleasant, or there's one of the alien characters who is specific, their entire power set is based on experiencing pleasure more strongly. They are able to taste things and have it be magnified and get the experience all that much stronger for all different types of pleasure and sensory experiences of pleasure. So that would be a good choice. That's one of the lesser one of the lesser Voloids that works for the Queen, so she gets to have that experience and share it among the others and stuff like that. So
Well,
that
that's
would be a
awesome.
good power set too if you're just picking for fun.
Yeah, yeah. That's super cool. Well, I know we're winding down on time here, but I want to leave us some time here for this last question. Do you have any news updates or current projects you can share with us?
All right, so for news, Dropout is live. I always keep wanting to say Dropout has dropped on it, but I don't want to use the drop and drop. Dropout is live. It, it it's doing better than I expected, maybe even a little bit better than I'd hoped. I was worried with the Amazon stuff and
Hmm.
with the fact that it is a sequel, um, but it's doing better than um, more importantly. Head of the Class is doing really well. Head of the
Oh,
Class is
awesome.
back in the top 10 in some subcategories.
Oh, that's
Dropout
awesome.
hit five in one, so but we've gotten almost really close to as many new Head of the Class orders as we have Dropout. So, which
That's
makes
awesome.
sense because as new people find out about it, they're not going to start with book two. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's fair.
but if there's other projects, I'll be doing another book in the series. I'm teasing him because he and I are working on a project together. Um, I'm going to be in me and my wife, who is
Yeah.
a better writer than me, but can't come up with ideas of her own. Uh, doesn't even want to. Uh, but she is a brilliant writer. She is going to be working with us on a program called Arcane Awakenings, which is an anthology with a collection of short stories that I'm really excited about. I just got to see the cover, and it is amazing. And I've read at least some of the stories. They're really exciting, really really good. So I'm really excited to be part of the project. That's going to be released in.
It's actually so we're gonna be on Kickstarter live September 13th. So our urban fantasy anthology has like Jason said, for him and Pepper are gonna be joining us. So that's gonna be 18 authors who are gonna have 17 different urban fantasy stories, anywhere from like 8,000 to 10K. I think is what most people have gone with. So that will be September 13th. We're actually in our pre-launch stage right now, so please, I'll put the pre-launch link down below for Arcane Awakenings, Urban Fantasy Anthology. So please make sure you guys go and do that. We are trying to collect at least 200 followers by next week, so that way we can kind of start to do some news and updates. So, and like Jason said, I actually just got done with someone else's story earlier today with some feedback, and I'm like the two I've read so far. I'm like, oh my gosh! And like I said, Ben gave me some amazing feedback. So did Dave Hensley. So did J.M. Selly. So I'm like really excited about that. But yeah, we're so happy to have you, and I hope that we do really well. But yeah, Jason, thank you so much for coming on again. I really hope people go and check Dropout, and I hope you do really well with both books, my friend.
I should be more clear from earlier. Pepper comes up with amazing ideas for the story once there's a project. She just
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
want to come up with the initial idea for a project. I'm confident she could. She doesn't want to. It was all I could do to get her to agree to. She would be perfectly willing to help with the story and even work on the story or co-author the story. But it was all I could get her to do to put her name on the story. She's shy.
Well, we're really happy to have both of you, and I can't wait to read your guys' story. But yeah,
Very cool.
Jason, like I said, we're excited to have you guys. I hope Dropout does well. Let me know if there's anything else I or the group can do. But other than that, I hope you have a good rest of the day, my friend, and we
Awesome.
appreciate you coming back on.
Awesome. Bye, everybody. It's nice to talk with you again.
See you guys.
Bye.